Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome to the month of January. I hope you had a great holiday. I'm excited to see you back in class. This is the second half of Earned Media. This is really, when I say the second half, it's really the overreaching umbrella that covers everything that we did in new media marketing. So, when you develop some Earned Media distribution strategies and plans later in this month, I want you to remember about your new media marketing plans, because whether they're brand ambassadors or whether they're influencers, they're going to be a part of what you do this month. So you might be saying, what are we going to do this month? We're going to learn about the overall impact of earned media. And you're actually going to develop a press release. The press release is going to be based on, ready for this, a newsworthy event. Something that somebody else would want to tell other people about. Now, that newsworthy event can be a real event or it can be a pseudo event. And we'll talk about that as we get into week 2, the difference between real and pseudo events. Let me just give you a hint that most everything that you see in the news, on morning shows, are all related to pseudo events. In fact, the pseudo event in earned media is really like the creative in paid advertising. So we will spend a lot of time in week 2 and 3 talking about trust, building trust, number 1. Number 2, creating a newsworthy event. And then whether it's a real event or a pseudo event. So week 1, we're going to set up some monitoring systems in order for you to know what's going on with your brand. Now, this is called strategic internet public relations, because we have to set the organization, and communications has to sit in the strategic context. So even though you've spent some time looking at the strategic elements of your companies over the past 9 months, this month in week 1, you're really going to dive into it. What do we mean by strategic? We mean its mission, its vision, its culture, its values, and any projects that are being orchestrated in order to move the company forward from a strategic perspective. In other words, moving to reaching the mission or the vision. You're going to monitor what's going on with the company. It's research, it's business intelligence, it's market intelligence, but that's where everything starts. Then we're going to get into, in week 2, and one of the reasons why you're monitoring, okay, is one, to keep an eye out for threats that might impact your company. You're also keeping your eye out for other information that you can curate and share with. Now, in earned media, we don't have target markets. Well, we do. They're part of our audiences. Our audience is much, much broader. So in earned media, when you're monitoring, you're looking for information that you can share to keep engaged with your audience. Why? Because it's a lot easier to curate all that than to constantly be coming up with pseudo events. The pseudo events add the punch for special circumstances. So you're going to monitor to be wary of threats. You're going to monitor to look for items that you can curate and share with your audiences. And finally, you're going to monitor so that you can look for ideas. You're going to spot ideas that you can turn and use for newsworthy events for your organization. These are basically pseudo events that will apply to your organization. And I'll talk about that in great detail down the road too. So again, what we're doing this month, we're monitoring, then we're creating a newsworthy event, and then we're going to take all the information and everything that we do with regard to the newsworthy event, which is primarily a press release. We're going to talk about how to use that and all the different channels that we can distribute it to, and leverage that to ultimately lift the brand. Now, going back to your goal setting in new media marketing, brand lift is something that's very, very critical. We will also probably see an increase in sales from the work that we do, But brand lift is really the top thing that we're looking for, is to always keep that brand elevated through the deeds, the reputation, and the communication that we in public relations provide our audiences. Finally, we're going to take a look at all this through the eyes of a crisis. You're going to identify a crisis, and I'll have another video for you on this in a little bit, where we talk about you're going to either form a team or work together. Interesting concept. And you're going to create a crisis mitigation plan for a crisis that you identify out there on the web. This one doesn't have to be related to your case study company. Why? Because your case study company might not have a crisis to deal with. The first one that I ever had to consider was back when I was in college, or shortly after. I can't remember the exact time frame now, but it was the Johnson & Johnson Tylenol crisis. And I'll talk about this later because I think this is interesting. What happened was somebody was injecting cyanide into Tylenol, and people were dying. And so that's a crisis. Today, companies have got to be smart, and this is why we spend so much time on philosophy and worldview and ethics in week one, that today companies are facing crises when people's feelings are hurt. Think about that. Back in the day, people were dying. That was a crisis. Today, people's feelings are hurt. That's a crisis today. But we can joke about it, we can laugh about it, but the reality is that a crisis, no matter what the cause, can do severe damage to the company's reputation and its overall brand impression. So we've got to be prepared. We have to understand why people's feelings are being hurt. All right, that's all I got for you right now. Until then, until we speak later, this is Dr. John. 407-2670 is my phone number. You can also reach me, of course, through the system. You can reach me through Reneski at fullsail.com, Reneski at mac.com, Reneski at almostanything.com. And know if I don't answer your email, something went wrong, or if I don't if I'm not getting right back to you, something went wrong. So bother me. Give me a phone call or send me a text. I'll be sure to see the phone call or the text. And that's all I've got for you today. Again, until we speak, I hope you have a wonderful month and you're all excited to get back and finish out your degree. Bye now.